This is a hell of a breakup. Elon Musk and Donald Trump have had a falling out. Is this a real thing that just happened? Elon Musk called it a disgusting abomination. I don't think that Donald Trump would have won the 2024 presidential election without Elon Musk. What are some of the greatest breakups in the history of America? And I'm wondering what the hell's going on. Let's cut the Let's get back to working for the betterment of this country. Elon Musk and Donald Trump have had a falling out. You may have heard. My goodness, the fracture, the first sign that we had that these two enormous egos were perhaps falling apart in this friendship that has been so inspirational to see transpire over the course of the past year or so. Elon Musk calling the GOP spending bill, President Trump's big, beautiful bill, Elon says maybe not so beautiful. In fact, he called it a disgusting abomination. And this, as you might expect, did not set very well with Donald Trump, who fired back at Elon Musk, saying that it's okay. Taking a look at this, I believe that he truthed this. Donald Trump saying, I don't mind Elon turning against me, but he should have done so months ago. This is one of the greatest bills ever presented to Congress. And if you don't believe how great it is, my friends, it's capitalized. I love how Trump just randomly capitalizes things. He operates by his own rules of grammar. Trump going on to say it's a record cut in expenses, blah, blah, blah. I'm just here to fix things. I didn't create the mess. Make America great again. So Elon is turned against me, is what Trump noted, and calling your buddy's bill a disgusting abomination. I think it's fair to say that you're making a turn there. Elon, in response to what Donald Trump tweeted, perhaps, comes back and basically says, yeah, well, buddy, you're a pedophile. How do you like that? Elon Musk tweeting, time to drop the really big bomb. Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason that they haven't been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. And now we're all left to try to figure out what any of this means. I got a text yesterday from Ronnie T-Shirts, who will be joining me momentarily in the program. And he says, basically he didn't say anything, just texted me Elon's tweet. And I look at it, and again, it's one of those things when you see it, you're like, well, hey, wait a minute. Is this a real thing that just happened? And then another friend of mine texted me the tweet, and I would imagine all around this country, people were getting texts from their friends because it's one of those moments where you stop and you got to tell somebody when you see it. Is this still real life? Did the two guys who have forged this alliance together, Doge and everything that's gone with it? I think you could certainly argue. I've said on many occasions, I don't think that Donald Trump would have won the 2024 presidential election without Elon Musk. Just the fact that Elon Musk bought X and created an environment where you could state your political opinion without fear of any sort of retribution or losing your account, created an environment where people could speak freely. And I think that benefited Donald Trump, and I think it probably flipped the election. So I don't think that Donald Trump is sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue today, if not for Elon Musk. So let's get that clear right out of the gate. So this has been a very mutually beneficial friendship to this point. It's probably benefited Trump more than it's benefited Elon, if we're being honest. But for Elon Musk to say that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, which this has been talked about a lot of times. We know the comments that are on the record going back, we're going back 20 plus years, but Donald Trump speaking affectionately of Jeffrey Epstein and talking about how Jeffrey Epstein likes young women. He likes young, beautiful women. We know that it's on record, we know that Trump flew on Epstein's plane on multiple occasions, but there's not any smoking gun that he went to Epstein Island or that he was engaged in the type of activity that was going on Epstein's Island. So here we are. How seriously are we to take this? When I first heard the story, I thought, well, my God, this is epic. This guy, the billionaire who basically was the kingmaker in the 2024 presidential election, just suggested that the sitting president of the United States is a pedophile. And now already, less than 24 hours, we've got indications that maybe they're going to kiss and make up. Billionaire businessman Bill Ackman basically tweeting out, I support both Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and they should make peace for the benefit of our country. We're much stronger together than apart. Elon Musk replying, you're not wrong. Well, listen, last week on this show, I just lit a guy up for stealing my golf cart and using it 35 years ago. I'm still pissed about that. How long does it take you to get over somebody intimating that you're a pedo? I guess we're going to find out. That's going to be a tough set of fences to mend if I'm Donald Trump. But then on the other hand, is this real or is this not real? We live in the AI era where you see a video or you see a picture, you're not even sure if it's real anymore. And that problem is only going to get worse, by the way, as the technology progresses. And we all know it. That writing is clearly on the wall. But these guys are both P.T. Barnum. Donald Trump literally has appeared in the WWE on multiple occasions. The guy's taken a stone cold stunner, for God's sakes. He's gone up against Vince McMahon. He's been a part of WWE storylines. And Elon Musk is basically a carnival barker himself. They're showmen. They're entertainers. They're larger than life personalities, no matter what you may think of them. So some people are even suggesting that maybe they're in cahoots on this. That maybe this is some kind of a storyline that is not to be taken seriously. And it doesn't appear to this point that Donald Trump, he doesn't seem to be taking it all that seriously so far. We'll see where it goes. But my honest answer to you, my take on this right now is I'm like everybody else. I'm watching this, I'm scratching my head, and I'm wondering what the hell's going on. And I think it remains to be seen. As much as I would love to come on here and give you some take that makes it all crystal clear, I simply don't think it's possible on this matter. So is this something that is going to permanently end the working relationship, the friendship between these two guys? It's very possible. But is it something where this time next week, all is going to be well again? As crazy as that sounds, I think it's also within the realm of possibility. So, guys, here's what I would say. Let's cut the bullshit. Let's get back to working for the betterment of this country, just as a lot of heroes did in 1944 on this date, 81 years ago, D-Day. The beaches at Normandy were stormed, and this guy right here, one of the greatest catchers in the history of Major League Baseball, a guy who caught 117 doubleheaders. The next time that you hear about load management, remember that 117 different times Yogi Berra went out there and caught both ends of a doubleheader. But as I tweeted, of course, after you've manned a machine gun at Omaha Beach on D-Day, it takes a little more for you to beg off of work. Yogi wasn't going to call in because he had the sniffles. This one was shocking, I think, to a lot of us. Anybody that has followed American presidential politics, this was stunning, I think, that Elon Musk would come out and say, you know what? You're on the Epstein list, and it's going to come out. Whoa. and have a good day, DJT. So I started thinking, what are some of the greatest surprising breakups in the history of America, whether that be sports, pop culture, you name it. So we're going to try a little different kind of a gimme five today. Traditionally, with Gimme Five, you give five of a topic, I give five, Tim gives five, and we bat it around for a while, and that's a lot of fun. But today, we're going to do five total shocking breakups that have occurred. And I know you have one, Tim has one, I've got one teed up. We'll collaboratively come up with a couple more when we talk this stuff over. But Ronnie, I'm going to let you have the first word on this. What is an all-time breakup for you when you think of moments where historic things fell apart?
Well, the first one that came to my mind, and I did try to use the parameter of shocking, right? Like, whoa, I did not see that one coming. It's somebody that's in a relationship right now that we talk about all the time, and that is Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft. Like they built a dynasty, and I did not see this coming at all. I mean, yes, the rumblings started happening, but I'm talking about I didn't see the rumblings. Like, wow, how do you just blow up a dynasty and go, all right, we're done? Crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, dude. Those guys are on the outs, right? Like,
oh yeah,
there's no repairing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's one thing to break up professionally, right? We could say that when Tom Brady decided to go to Tampa Bay, Brady and Belichick broke up, but I think those guys still have a mutual respect, and I would imagine that they still exchange pleasantries. The Robert Kraft situation is a little different. Tim wants to know who's on the spa list. Yeah, do you think Robert Kraft? Do you think there's a spa list there at that strip mall? That I've always been sympathetic to Kraft on that thing, man. It's like, no, sometimes maybe not.
I don't know. Sometimes you just need it touched.
That's no matter how rich you are. You just want the loving hands of a 68-year-old Asian lady to feel you a little bit. Let's bring Tim in now before this segment goes off the rails, before he even has an opportunity to weigh in. And Tim, I can see your backdrop maybe foreshadowing the direction that you're going to go here.
I'm fired. You're fired. Everyone's fired. Incredible. Incredible. You could do a whole series of documentaries on the Steinbrenner, Billy Martin. Some of it was definitely performative, like this press conference here. I think this is when he was rehired. They made Miller Lite commercials, as you see here. Less filling tastes great. As you wrote, Ricky, if Martin doesn't die tragically on that, Christmas Eve or around Christmas night, maybe he's back a fifth. Maybe he's back a fifth time. But man, you want to talk about just made for TV. Holy shit, Steinbrenner, massive ego. Billy Martin, little loose lips. The booze maybe sometimes fueled some of his comments. As you could see one there, right? He calling Reggie Jackson the liar and calling George the convict. So look, for me, man, with the Elon Trump thing, we were, doing a lot of work yesterday, and just more and more kept trickling in the newsroom, and it was like, holy cow. I always like to check the timestamps on things. I'm not accusing it. Trump doesn't drink. I don't know where Elon is on it, but I'm always suspicious of late night or super early morning tweets that people maybe want back. The Epstein thing, middle of the day, no excuse. Holy shit, what are we going to do? But I got Billy Martin, George Steinbrenner. Ricky, who do you got?
Well, Martin and Steinbrenner is near and dear to my heart because the Yankees were my first favorite team. So I remember all of that so well. And of course, George was running through a lot of other managers, including Yogi Berra, who we just honored a few minutes ago here in the program. For me, I'm gonna go outside of the world of sports here, and I'm gonna say the Beatles. We look at the impact that the Beatles have had culturally and how popular they still are. And if you go to a Paul McCartney show, and I've taken all my girls to a Paul McCartney show, 2017, the last time he came through Chicago, I took all 5 of my girls because I wanted them all to be able to say that they saw a Beatle, that they saw Paul McCartney. My oldest has been to 5 shows. I took her to her first show when she was 7. My second oldest has been to 3 or 4, I think. But they've all seen him, and it's because you are looking at a great historical figure. The greatest rock band of all time, in my opinion, and I think McCartney stacks up with Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, you name it, whoever it is. And this band, and we've seen the Rolling Stones have been together for over 60 years. The Beatles were together for 8 years. Really, the lineup that we know and love with Ringo on drums. So it was quick. They made their mark. They made it in a short time. And then boom, it was over. And I think when they broke up, none of them were 30 yet. George Harrison was 27 years old, I believe, when the Beatles broke up. He may have actually been 26. I'm not certain. I would have to look when it became official. I think he may not have been at his 27th birthday yet. So to think about everything that they did in such a short time, and then bam, at the peak of their powers, it's over. For me, even though it happened before my lifetime, that has to be one of the most shocking.
Ricky, I'm with you, man. It's funny. I'm sitting here thinking, I think I knew the expression, it's like breaking up the Beatles, before I was really familiar with many of their songs, for sure. So I do think really seared in the collective memory of so many across the globe too, right? Not just here in the States. So look, I think I'm curious. The more we do this segment, maybe we send it out. We can solicit some replies. I smell more content next week. I got a couple other submissions to round out the 5 from the great Aaron Spielberg here. He's throwing out Barry Sanders and the Lions. He's throwing out Aaron Rodgers, maybe in the Packers. Good fodder. I don't know if you guys thought of any 2 others that we could quickly throw
Brad
out
and
there.
Angelina. That rocked America.
Go.
That rocked America.
Was there a
Hall
breakup
and Oates,
on Dallas?
baby.
Hall
right
and Oates?
Now.
Right. Was
Hall
there a
and
breakup
Oates,
on Dallas?
Guns N' Roses?
Bitter.
Okay. How about the movie? How about the series? I didn't Google it. With the TV series Dallas, I know JR was shot. Was there a big breakup on that? I feel like there was a breakup on a TV series. I mean, I know Friends had their thing. The 2 chicks had their breakup. But good stuff.
The only thing I really remember
comments
from Dallas was the one season that was all just a dream.
I thought that was Bob Newhart.
There was one year they just erased an entire season of Dallas because I think Bobby died or something. And the way that they because Patrick Duffy was in a contract dispute. This is how I remember it from all those years ago. And so they just conveniently brought him back by the previous season. She dreamed it all. So, there you go. There are people out there that have been married more than once, too. By the way, my dad and mom were married twice. They got married, they got divorced, they got married again. Who the fuck does that?
Double your pleasure, double your fun. Meanwhile, against this whole shit show of a backdrop of Elon and Trump, Ricky, they were playing hoops last night.
Yeah, there were some hoops being played in Oklahoma City. The Indiana Pacers taking their first lead of the entire game with the game winner. How about that? Erasing a 15-point fourth-quarter deficit, Tyrese Halliburton continues his incredible postseason, heating up like that building. Take a look at that. Hey, listen, why let a 5-alarm fire? Look at the firemen up there on the roof. It's like fucking backdraft over there, and these kids are like, well, you know what?
I didn't see him up top. Wow.
Yeah, there he is. These kids are like, hey, fuck it. The fire's not on the basketball court. Good luck to everybody. Bodies are probably being taken out of that building over there, and none of those kids give a single flying fuck about any of it. But I'll tell you something, man. This Indiana Pacers team, there's something special about them. There really is something special about him. And, I didn't put money on it yesterday because I got distracted. My girlfriend's in town, so I didn't profit from it. But I said yesterday that I didn't think they would win, but I thought that it would be a very competitive game. Well, they did a little better than very competitive. And take a look at this. Teams, when trailing by 9 or more points in the final 3 minutes of the NBA Finals, going all the way back to when my old ass was born in 1971, 0-182 until last night. And this is not the first time in these playoffs by any means that we've seen the Pacers snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. They did it against the Cleveland Cavaliers. What were they down, guys? Under a
They've
minute.
come
They
back
came back,
from
they put one on the
15.
Cavaliers. They did it against
5
the
times.
Knicks. They did it against the Knicks. This team is never out. They're like Michael Myers. They're like Jason. It's like a fucking horror villain. The Indiana Pacers are not dead until the clock reads triple zeros. And you can see the madness going on there. This is not from Oklahoma City. This is the scene from inside the building in Indianapolis where fans crowded it to watch the game on the Jumbotron. And they were rewarded with what has to be one of the most satisfying last-second victories in the histories of playoff basketball. Ron, I don't know. Would you go to an arena to watch a game on a Jumbotron just for the atmosphere? Would you have had any interest in doing what those Indiana fans were?
Yeah, I think I would. I don't know if you can pull him on even just his voice, but Jared did that last weekend or 2 weekends ago. He told me he went and saw the Knicks in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, Knicks game 6.
Yeah, he got it for $10.
Wow, well, that's a great deal.
They do
Jared
everything.
On to talk about that. How was it?
It was great.
Relay it to us. Yeah.
They do everything that the normal game would be except for the actual game. You just watch it on the Jumbotron, but they sell beer, they sell food, they do the t-shirt toss in the middle of the timeouts. It's awesome.
It's a great moneymaker. It's got to be a great moneymaker, I mean, you sell concessions, you just
Jared,
filled up your
didn't
building on a night when you weren't going to make any money.
Jared, you paid more. Didn't you pay more for your beer than the ticket? Isn't that what you told me?
The ticket was $10. The beer was $20. One beer is $20.
There you go.
Thank you, Madison Square Garden.
There you go. Yeah, they'll get you in there and then they'll gouge you. You weren't getting out easy with a cheap beer. Aaron Rodgers has finally, at long last, landed in the Steel City. It's official. The thing that has been rumored, it feels like it's been rumored, since, I was about 12 years old. Aaron Rodgers will, in fact, be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Ronnie, what was the meme that you sent me that what was the equivalent they said it was of getting Aaron Rodgers at this stage in his career?
Oh gosh, I don't remember.
I think it was like dating your high school sweetheart after she's 40 years old and has 4 kids.
Oh yeah.
You finally your crush. Yeah. Finally getting to be with your crush after there's some years on the odometer and a lot of mileage. Look, I think Aaron Rodgers, we'll see. Everything about the Pittsburgh Steelers, says like 9-8 to me. I'm not sure that this is going to be a needle mover. Mike Tomlin, though, hasn't had a losing season his entire tenure in Pittsburgh.
Well, 9-8's not losing.
He runs a very, very solid program there. And Aaron Rodgers, 2 kind of lost years in New York. I will say this, Ron, before you weigh in. Brett Favre had that one really rough year in New York, and he was able to go to Minnesota and have a renaissance. He went to Minnesota and put together one of the best seasons of his entire career. Now the question is, does Aaron Rodgers have one more big season left in him? I'm not real confident that will be the case.
Man, if I'm a Steelers fan, I don't know if I'm happy about this because unless they win the Super Bowl, this is a bad decision because it's going to set the Steelers back a couple of years, right? Like like
Well, I mean,
Mason.
do you think Mason Rudolph is the solution?
No, I don't think
Mason
Rudolph.
Rudolph's not going to be the quarterback on the next great Pittsburgh Steelers team. So I don't think it hurts them because unless Kirk Cousins was going to manifest somehow,
Kirk Cousins
was going to come at a greater expense.
Yeah,
they would have had to have given up something to acquire him.
And he's kind of like the great value Aaron Rodgers, right? I mean, he's coming off at
this point in time, I'm not sure.
But he's coming off an Achilles too. He costs a ton of money. I don't know, Ricky. I mean, it's going to play out, and we're going to see what happens. I'll tell you who this does help, and I know I'm going to sound like a broken record. And you're just going to laugh at me, but Will Howard, what an amazing situation that kid got to go to. Now,
God, here we go.
No, I'm telling you. Oh, you watch. This kid is going to sit and he's going to watch for 2 years, and then he's going to have a chance. It's the greatest situation. I feel bad for Mason Rudolph because he went there. He signed thinking that he was going to be the quarterback this year, and now unless Rodgers gets hurt, he's just sitting on the bench the whole year. So I do feel bad for Mason Rudolph, although he could be better, and then they wouldn't have to get they wouldn't have to get Aaron Rodgers. So it'll be interesting, Ricky.
All right. Well, we were talking a couple of moments ago about breakups, and Aaron Spielberg, the great Aaron Spielberg, had suggested via Tim that Barry Sanders and the Detroit Lions is one that would be worthy of consideration. Barry is one of those guys who retired at the absolute peak of his powers. It doesn't happen very often in team sports. Jim Brown did it back in the 1960s, led the league in rushing 8 times in 9 years, and then went off to make movies with Raquel Welch. Barry Sanders never got the playoff success in Detroit because they never put the personnel around him to take advantage of his incredible abilities fully. And he ends up retiring before he was 30 years old. I think both of those guys were 29 when they retired. Sandy Koufax retired when he was 30 because of an arthritic elbow. It wasn't his choice, but we were robbed of maybe the best left-handed pitcher that we've ever seen in modern times without getting to see what the rest of his career would look like. And Saquon Barkley now says that maybe one day we'll be saying the same thing about him. Let's take a look at what Saquon had to say talking to Chris Long on the Green Light podcast.
So fast forward to however long you want to play. You're one of the best ever, maybe the best ever. Do you want to be like an Aaron Donald where AD says, hey, I want to get out of here playing at the highest level. I want to leave a little early. Or do you imagine yourself as one of these guys that wants to do it until the wheels fall off?
It's a great question. I'll probably be one of those guys that it'll be out of nowhere. Like, I'll probably just wake up one day, whether it's next year or 2 years or 4 years, and just be like, yeah, it's over. I don't think I will ever lose that passion. The competitive nature is always going to be there, but I like probably my favorite player of all time is Barry Sanders. So probably similar to that. Maybe one day, it'll be out of nowhere. I'll probably be balling and just be like, yeah, call it quits.
Philadelphia Eagles fans, how do you feel about that? Ronnie, what do you think? If you're an Eagles fan and Chris Long out of nowhere drops that question, it's like suddenly you start thinking, well, hey now, Saquon, let's not get any ideas. You want to play for at least another 4 or 5 years at a minimum, don't you? Could you imagine losing him? Because, who's the best running back in the NFL? It's either Saquon or Derrick Henry. Take your pick. I think I would have to say Saquon is the guy. He's the only guy in the league that every time he touches the ball, you hold your breath because you know he could hit a home run. Barry Sanders was the same way.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm an Eagles fan, I'm not too worried about it. You just got to worry about this year. Everybody's at risk at doing it. You threw out a bunch of names, but Andrew Luck did it. Calvin Johnson did it. You just never know how these guys are wired and what makes them, make the decision. So I think the Eagles fans are going to worry about this year, and they're not going to worry about 3 years from now at the moment.
Well, Derek Carr's not worried about 3 years from now because speaking of unexpected retirements, Derek Carr is gone from the league, and in a move that a lot of people are talking about, Ron, he is leaving money on the table by retiring. He could have collected $30 million this season while getting himself healthy again, and he opted not to do it. He said he didn't feel right about taking the Saints' money. So he retires and voluntarily elects to not take $30 million from the New Orleans Saints to not play. How about that?
He made $205 million in his career. I think he's going to be just fine. Just fine. Might have
Could
to.
you have done that though, Ron? You're one of the straightest shooters I know, but if you've got a guaranteed contract and you're owed $30 million, I'm going to tell you right now, I would have collected my money.
Here's my thought on that.
Is a lot of money. I give him credit, but I couldn't have done that.
Here's my thought on that, Ricky. If it was just because I didn't feel like playing anymore, or I just was like, you know what, I'm not hurt and I don't want to get hurt and I'm good, that's fine. But I'm a big believer that a company, and especially a pro sports team, they will drop you like a bad habit if it's in their best interest. So
yeah,
if they owe you $30 million,
would that loyalty extend both ways?
Nope. Take the $30 million. Yeah.
Would it really? I mean, I think Carr I think he's a big Christian. So I think for him, there was a moral element to it. He just didn't feel right about it. And hey, look, God bless him. It's his life. He's already made more money than a schlub like myself will ever see if I lived 100 lifetimes probably. So God bless him and good luck. One more football item here to clear the NFL bag. Let's empty it on this Friday. Phil Simms is a guy that has had his name associated with possibly being worthy of being a Hall of Famer. He's considered by many to be kind of a borderline Hall of Fame candidate, but Phil himself, in answering a question recently, said he doesn't think that he belongs in Canton, Ohio.
How do you feel about the Hall of Fame at this point?
Oh, I never think about it. Never. I don't think I deserve to be in it. No, I don't deserve to be in it. Maybe if I wouldn't have got hurt in some of my career, things like that, maybe I should have got, when they asked me to be the alternate for the Pro Bowl and they'd call me and I said, man, I'm not coming. I've already turned that off and whatever. So I probably could have been 5 Pro Bowls. And so that's on your thing. Maybe all that would have helped, but and I'm not.
But on the senior ballot, Phil?
What's that?
On the senior ballot, you don't think you have a case? 2 rings, Super Bowl MVP? What you've meant to the game after the game? Please.
Okay, like I said, I don't think about it. And I don't want to say I don't care.
Yes, you can't say that.
Again, I don't deserve to be in.
I have respect for that because I think Phil is grounded in reality here. Phil Simms, a very, very fine quarterback, a Super Bowl winning quarterback. She referenced that he has 2 Super Bowl rings. Jeff Hostetler was the starting quarterback for one of those 2 because Phil was injured. Maybe if Phil had been healthy and he had quarterbacked the Giants to both of the Super Bowls that he has a ring for, maybe there's a stronger argument to be made for him. But I'm not sure, even with 2 rings, that Phil is a Hall of Famer. Jim Plunkett has 2 rings. Jim Plunkett had a fine career. He's never really sniffed the Hall of Fame. So, credit to Phil for keeping it real there. Ronnie, you got a thought on Phil Simms?
I'm a big fan of self-awareness, and so I respect that. I respect that when he was asked that question, he answered it honestly. So big fan.
Yeah. And there's no shame in being the kind of quarterback that Phil Simms was, right? I mean, he's at the next level right below it. If you want to talk about the best quarterbacks who don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, he's going to be in that conversation. Sign up for Ricky Cobb's Rewind, you sweet bastards. Just head over to OutKick.com/newsletters.
How do you guys feel about Donut Day being the same fucking day as D-Day. I'm kind of fired up about it, to be honest with you. Like, you know,
So there should be this should be a blank day. It should nothing else.
I agree. So we have a little ditty here. We'll play it from the Salvation Army as to why they have. It doesn't say why they chose June 6th, but it sort of explains the connection of World War I and II. Let's play it and see what you guys think on the back end.
Did you know that World War I and World War II soldiers have fond memories of the Salvation Army offering them complimentary donuts and coffee during wartime? In fact, in his book Donuts, An American Passion, food historian John T. Edge credits the Salvation Army with introducing the donut to American taste buds during World War I. The donut traces its roots to Europe, but gained a foothold here when soldiers returned home, longing for the treat they were served by Salvation Army donut girls,
Too
a symbol
happy
of
for
motherhood
me,
and
man.
home.
Too happy for me. The carnage that took place 81 years ago on the shores of France. Enough of the fucking smiling donuts. I'm with you, Ron. I don't know how you feel, Ricky. Maybe I got my panties in a bunch here,
Bro, I saw Saving Private Ryan. That
Holy shit.
I don't think
Yep.
Krispy Kreme needs to be, it's like I don't, aren't there's 365 days.
Exactly.
We can't pick a donut day that is not commemorating like one of the most serious, heroic, catastrophic. I mean, you put the word on it that you want, they all apply to D-Day. So it's
Come
just,
on.
I'm
Let's
not
do
really,
better.
I'm not really offended by it. I just think it's stupid.
I hope Trump can do something about it, or someone.
Day.
Right. I hope, or maybe Duncan or somebody steps up and says, you know what? I mean, because good Lord, the thing that strikes me.
At least they should. At least if they're going to do it, the big donut chains should donate like huge portions of money to like some sort of a veterans charity or something like that. Then I could live with it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. Why would you pick something like that? You're taking something that is somber and serious.
Money, Ricky, money. You can trace it back to money all the time.
Yeah.
The reason is money.
It's like it's like celebrating something stupid on Veterans Day.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
I
don't get it.
It's a shame. It's a shame. I'm not one to start petitions, but good Lord, I've been inspired the last couple of days by the work that Amber is doing for us out in with the Minnesota pitcher and the stuff that Dan Z has been doing with Nike. And look, OutKick has a lot of mixed meanings for a lot of people, but I do think this is one that, for me, I'm not saying OutKick is behind that, but there's something to be protected that's sacred. And I'm not, I'm rambling here, but when I think of the age of those guys who died, that they're the age of these young anyway
kids.
Yeah, get the donut out of your mouth, people. Remember what fucking D-Day is about.